Shabbat Shalom. I'm not saying that I have the ability to time travel. Ooh, I have a helper. I'd rather keep her up here. Could never have enough women on the bima. Just saying. Oh my God, that's gonna be my kid one day. All right, we'll start from the top because they're gonna clip this and put it online. It has to look perfect. Shabbat Shalom. There we go. I'm not saying I have the ability to time travel, but I'm gonna make a prediction. Today, as I'm going home, in my mind, I'll be reliving every single moment that I have messed up today. And I know, like, everybody's human and no one's perfect and whatever. And I say that to other people, and I mean it. I do. But for myself, I'm not nearly that nice. So I'll just be going home thinking of all the things that I didn't get perfectly correct. And almost as soon as I go through that list, I'll start finding excuses for all the things that I didn't do well. I'll say to myself, oh, well, I mixed up. This list was pre-typed out, obviously. I mixed up, some page numbers, but probably the lines were really close and I just got them switched. Or, oh, I missed giving an introduction to one of the Torah readings, but they were reading so fast, I just couldn't get to it, and that's why I messed up. Or, oh, it only sounded like I was talking very quickly or softly because the mic, the settings weren't something, not my fault. I'll find all these excuses for my own mistakes that will make it not really my fault. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes you're looking at this list of page numbers and you just get all blurry and you say the wrong one. And sometimes the mic actually isn't calibrated to my settings and I sound a lot softer than I want to. But sometimes I make mistakes that are actually my fault. I'm sitting up here, standing up here, and my mind wanders and suddenly I miss doing an introduction to a Torah reading. Or I'm doing something new, and I've never done it before, and I'm really nervous, and I've done it a million times before, but up here I go, and I mess it up. And in my mind, I can feel actually my brain is actively running away from confronting me messing something up. Then it's my fault. I'm trying to find other reasons why it's not my fault. And I don't know if I'm alone to experience that. I feel like a lot of people do that. Like in your life, in your job, or your family, relationships. You make a mistake and your brain instantly is running away from it saying, it wasn't actually my fault because it was this other thing, this other factor, this other thing happened over there. It wasn't really my fault. There's something else going on. It's not me. And if it makes you feel better, it makes me feel a little better. Moses does the same exact thing. Here in Devarim, it's his swan song. This entire book is really him recounting, except for the part where he dies, and there's more book. But the previous part, when he's talking, he's just recounting all the things that already happened. He's retelling the whole story of the Jewish people leaving, slavery and becoming the Jewish people. And he tells all these stories, and a lot of them we're familiar with. But it's interesting, if you actually read Deuteronomy, it's easy to get lazy and not read it. You're like, oh, it's just a repetition. It's not, exactly. Because what Moses says happened in some of the stories here in Deuteronomy is not what actually happened earlier in the Torah. We know because we can actually check the words. We can read them. He blames the Israelites for a lot of things that they didn't actually do. He's like, oh, you Israelite people, you told me to send spies into the land. It's an interesting thought, Moses, because in the book of Numbers we can actually see, quote, God said to Moses, send spies into the land. He's wrong. It's not true. It's not the Israelite people's fault. He blames the people for delegating authority. Back in Exodus, you made me do that, you Israelites. It's not true. You read Exodus. Yitro, his father-in-law, said, Moses, you can't do it all yourself. You need to have some lower judges to do some of the work for you. But that's not what Moses says here in Deuteronomy. He blames the Israelites. And it's interesting. He doesn't just blame them. He says, oh no, all these things that you did, you made God mad, and now I'm being punished, and I can't go into the land. The promised land. Land I've been working for decades to bring y'all into, I can't go into, and it's your fault. It strikes me as a little bit unfair. To be honest, the children of Israel mess up a lot. They're constantly messing up. So much of what we read in the Torah is the Israelites messing up. God saying, oh, those children of Israel, I swear to me, these people are the worst. But here, Moses is taking a little bit of, artistic liberty, but it's more than that. He's misremembering the past, things that actually happened. Or maybe he's trying to remember it differently, but it actually happened. Because what was it that caused him to not be allowed to go into the land? There's one thing that happened. We know he's not allowed to go into the land. What was it? Quiz time. It involves water and a rock. And he hit the rock. And he was not supposed to hit the rock. The Israelites are complaining, as per usual, that they're thirsty. They want water. Moses says, God, these people want water. God says, you need to talk to the rock. And he doesn't talk to the rock. He hits it. And he doesn't listen to God. And God says, well, you didn't trust me vis-a-vis the water situation, so you're not going into the land. That's what happened. That's why Moses can't go into the land. Moses knows that full well in Deuteronomy, yet he's yelling at the Israelites. He's railing against them, saying, you did this thing, and you did this thing. And God was so mad, and now I'm being punished, and I can't go into the land. If only I had listened to you, this is your fault. If only I had been a better leader, a stronger leader, then I wouldn't have been barred from the promised land. But that's not what happened. You're not going to the land because you didn't listen to God, not because you weren't a good leader, Moses. It was your fault, actually, entirely your fault. I think in this case, Moses is an example of what not to do, how not to behave or think. We have to hold ourselves accountable for our own hiccups. And I'm not saying we should self-flagellate. I don't think, I'm the worst. That doesn't benefit you, doesn't benefit anybody. I'm not saying you should always blame yourself for everything. I'm saying if we don't look critically at our own mess-ups, then we're never going to grow. And if we don't grow, we don't improve, we don't get better. And isn't the whole point of life and Torah that we become better people? I think it is. And maybe that's another reason why Moses wasn't fit to enter the land and remain the leader of the Jewish people. He wasn't able to distinguish when something wasn't his fault, most things were not his fault, and when something really was his own mistake. Not that good leaders don't mess up. Good leaders mess up. Good people mess up. The distinction is a good leader and a good person sees when they mess up, and they own it, and they grow from it. It would have been good advice for Moses. I know it's good advice for me, and I hope it's good advice for all of you. Shabbat Shalom.